Hello, my name is Drennan and thank you for inviting me onto your YouTube channel. I am an abstract expressionist painter. I'm originally from Ireland, but I've been London, UK based for over 10 years now. I originally came to London to do my master's in fine art at Central St. Martin's, and post-graduating in 2014 I set up studio and it's all been going really well. My background is as a professional Irish dancer with Riverdance. I toured globally for nearly 10 years, and during that time I made a point of every city I was performing in to go and check out the museums and the galleries to really inform my future painting practice, really. So I got to see amazing shows like Willem de Kooning's retrospective in MoMA. I also got to visit Frida Kahlo's house in Mexico City. I got to see Louise Bourgeois' Maman Spider in Tokyo, and really all that time feeding my artist intellect, I guess, and using my time touring as a real education for my future career has really fed into my painting practice now even. My influences have varied quite a bit because I did my undergrad in fine art and then I did my master's degree. So I had a period of 6 years of academic study where I explored lots of different artists and their practices. But the mainstays have definitely been Sean Scully's work, Willem de Kooning, who I've already mentioned, and of course, wonderful Joan Mitchell. I still get tingles anytime I see her work. Right now, I've been making a body of work based on rock landscapes, which started about, 4 years ago now. It began with an art residency I won on the west coast of Ireland that had a very specific rock landscape, which I made a lot of work around, and that has continued to feed into my painting practice. And now I regularly take trips back to certain locations in Ireland, make studies of rock landscapes, bring them back here into my studio in London, and start to abstract and develop the shapes, the tones, the colours, and make an overall composition. I think this is really fed into my area of interest because I love the idea of finding lightness and grace in a form which is heavy, organic, and not typically seen as ethereal. My biggest challenge of being an artist, well, that varies a lot. I think because I've been working full-time as an artist now for a number of years, I think that has changed a lot. There's a real ebb and flow to how I work and how circumstances change. I think overall, I feel very lucky and grateful to be doing something that I really love and be able to support myself. It's changed a lot recently because I had a baby boy last year, so I've had to change how I do things, how I approach my practice. And I think overall the biggest challenge is that I'm not just coming into my studio and making work. You have to wear so many other feathers in your hat as a contemporary artist now because, for example, you have to have a digital presence. I think keeping track of everything can be a lot sometimes, but again, I love what I do, so I don't really see any negative in it. I feel very grateful. I think advice for my younger self would be don't feel like you have to follow the typical or historical path of an artist. I think as I've come up and developed my career as an artist, things have really, really changed. For example, you don't have to be with a gallery now. You can self-represent. You can sell direct from your studio, from your website, Instagram. I think there's so many other avenues now. I do work with galleries, but I think there's a lot more room for artists to have more autonomy. And I think when I was studying, that wouldn't have been an option. So I think I felt that you sort of had to follow a certain model, whereas now I think the landscape of being an artist has massively changed, which is really great. Music definitely plays a part in my painting practice. I have a specific playlist that I keep for when I'm deep into painting a new body of work. And then that period when I'm just prepping work, for example, priming canvas or mixing paint or something like that, I have a couple of podcasts that I listen to, specifically someone like the Blind Boy podcast, because I feel like it helps my headspace get into the right gear for creative flow. And I think that's very important, because I'm not someone who comes into my studio and, switches on the switch of creativity and everything starts to happen. I have to get my head into the right space for making work. Recently, I had someone buy a painting from my studio who told me they had just never seen anything like my work. And I think that's one of the best reactions I've had, because it's really important to me to be authentic and to have individualism about my work. Of course, you're always going to be influenced by what's come before, and it's hard at times to find your own voice in a very loud creative space. So when someone reacts by saying they just can't think of anyone or any other work that they've seen like mine, I take that as a big compliment. And in general, people have come back to me after buying work and say that, so many years later, they can still see things in my work that they hadn't seen when they initially bought the work. And I think that comes down to how I make a painting. It's a compilation of layers. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on your channel. It's been a pleasure to share my work and a bit about myself. I have a lot of things actually coming up over the next couple of months. So you can either follow me at Aisling_Drennan_art on Instagram, or you can check out my website at aislingdrennan.com. Thanks so much.